The latest Japanese-style Western masterpiece by Kimura Mitsuki, released in 2025 and set in England in 1897, tells the gripping story of a young woman's transformation into a figure of vengeance after a devastating loss. The film opens with Yoshimura, a Japanese man in England, performing his rigorous morning swordsmanship routine, his every move radiating sharp precision. He wakes his teenage daughter Nicole, who is reluctant to get up, finding their traveling puppet show boring and the prospect of an audience unlikely. Yoshimura is insistent, reminding her of the cold and the need to prepare for their performance in 2 hours. Despite her initial annoyance at him giving her chopsticks instead of a fork for breakfast, she relents and later attempts swordsmanship practice with him, though her impatience quickly leads her to give up. Meanwhile, a gang of gold thieves is discussing the division of their recent haul. Their leader David proposes transporting the gold to a safe place before splitting it, a decision that irritates the sharp-eyed member Jack, who openly questions his boss. David's silent, intense stare is enough to pressure Jack into leaving the conversation, and the rest of the gang is ordered to move the gold immediately. The puppet show begins on time, drawing a hearty laugh from the audience and attracting the attention of David's gang, who stop to rest and watch. The member carrying the heavy gold, Ian, suggests the break. As the show reaches its climax, the gangsters are completely absorbed. Nicole backstage spots them and also notices a little boy sneakily circling the crowd. The boy manages to quietly slip behind the gang and steal the bag of gold from Ian. Jack, however, is the only one to notice the bag is gone. As the performance ends and the audience cheers, Ian discovers the gold has vanished, causing panic among the gang. Nicole finds the boy, snatches the gold-filled cloth bags from him and forces both the boy and the gold into a hidden compartment at the bottom of the cargo box. Jack secretly observes this entire exchange. Nicole then returns to the audience to collect money, but Ian pounces on her, demanding to know if she saw the 2 cloth bags. Nicole lies, claiming she saw a man dragging 2 bags toward the forest, prompting Ian to gather his friends and chase the false lead just as a heavy rain begins. Yoshimura begins cleaning up the stage and Nicole joins him. She asks if he ever wishes their lives were different, but he coldly tells her to focus on work. As she sighs, Nicole spots Jack staring at her from a distance. Realizing they are in danger, she urges her father to leave immediately. They don't get far before David and his men arrive, aggressively, instantly suspicious of their carriage. Nicole quickly opens the hidden compartment, stuffs the boy and the gold back into the carriage, and in a moment of greed slips a gold coin into the boy's palm before throwing him out of the carriage. She believes the danger has passed, but the carriage abruptly stops. Nicole finds a fallen tree blocking the road. She suggests a detour, but Yoshimura insists on turning back. Hearing movement, Nicole swiftly drags the cloth bags out, carries them up a hillside, and hides them in a secret cave. Unbeknownst to her, the boy she threw out of the carriage has returned and witnesses her hiding the gold. Returning to the carriage, Nicole is horrified to find her father gone and the gangsters are closing in. Gangster Mike grabs the secretly watching boy, and as he puts him down, the gold coin Nicole gave him falls out. David furiously questions the boy, who points at the carriage. Nicole prepares to resist with a knife, but Yoshimura suddenly appears, throwing the knife onto the carriage roof, and attempts to take all the responsibility himself. David feigns a friendly greeting as his men subtly surround the father and daughter. David orders a search, but despite a complete ransacking, the gold is not found. Enraged, David grabs the boy, but the boy points at Nicole as the true culprit. Nicole denies it, and Yoshimura maintains that he's never seen the gold and simply wants no trouble, emphasizing this by placing his samurai sword on the ground. Still, David refuses to let them go. Yoshimura tells Nicole to turn around and not look back, and the next second an arrow pierces his abdomen. Hearing her father fall, Nicole realizes her terrible mistake. Knowing she must not waste his sacrifice, she flees into the dense forest with the boy following. The gangsters begin an unhurried pursuit. Jack, after the main group is gone, secretly searches the bottom of the carriage again, finds the gold gone, and hurriedly follows the others. Nicole and the boy run through a second forest, still unable to shake their pursuers, and finally run into a villa. She silently sneaks inside and hides on the second floor. The gangsters break into the villa and drag the confused villa owner to David, who questions him about the children. The owner denies seeing them, further enraging David, who orders his men to search the house. Nicole flees to the attic. One of the gangsters starts playing the piano, a sound that feels like a death knell to Nicole. She hides just as Mike searches the attic, but the floor gives way and he crashes onto the piano below, causing mass confusion. David signals his men to gather outside the house. Nicole emerges but immediately runs into Jack, who has disobeyed David's order. Jack grabs her and threatens to kill her unless she takes him to the gold. The villa owner's daughter hears the commotion and comes over, briefly distracting Jack, who is focused on claiming the gold for himself. Jack lets Nicole go only after hearing David call for him, ordering her to stay put. Nicole watches from the window as the gang analyzes her possible escape routes, ruling out the east and west. David decides to split the gang into 2 teams, with him and Jack each taking 3 men. He re-emphasizes that Nicole is not to be killed. Jack suggests that the performance troupe of Yoshimura and his daughter are likely connected, proposing they search the camp. David agrees but insists Jack take Mike, but Jack stubbornly wants to go alone. David pulls Jack aside, slaps him, and threatens his life if he disobeys again. David then sends the 3 men ahead, briefly checks his own wound, and follows, enduring severe pain. Seeing the coast is clear, Nicole escapes the villa and runs toward the performance troupe camp. On the way, the boy witnesses Jack kill Mike. Jack then hastily buries the body and waits until David's team is far away before moving. Nicole reaches the camp, slips past everyone and runs into a carriage where she is found by Mentor, an old friend of Yoshimura. He asks what happened, but Nicole is silent, staring at her father's portrait as she falls into deep thought. Hours later, David and his remaining men arrive at the camp, noticing the absence of Jack and Mike. The troop leader, hearing the commotion, informs his wife Mary that David has arrived. The movie's climactic final act begins with David, the gang leader, arriving at the performance troops camp and engaging in a familiar tense exchange with Mary, the troop leader's wife. David feigns a casual visit but quickly asks the troop leader about the girl and the boy. The leader denies seeing them, then subtly provokes David by mentioning the rumors of a recent gold theft from the church. Before David can react violently, the little boy runs into Mentor's carriage to tell Nicole that Jack killed Mike. David's men spot the boy and David orders an immediate attack. Ignoring Nicole's pleas, Mentor bravely rushes out to stop the gangsters but is instantly struck down by an archer's arrow. Nicole and the boy are captured. To save their lives, Nicole finally reveals the gold's hiding place. When David learns the boy also knows the location, he orders Nicole's execution. At that moment, the wounded Mentor makes one last effort, pouncing on David. Nicole and the boy seize the chance to escape again. An enraged David, momentarily thwarted, orders his men to burn the camp as Mary urges the rest of the troop to flee into the forest. As Nicole and the boy run across a hillside, the gangster archer shoots the boy in the calf, capturing him and taking him back to the burning camp. Nicole escapes, but she looks back in despair at the troop camp engulfed in a sea of fire. Her grief is cut short when Jack suddenly attacks her, demanding she take him to the gold. Along the way, Jack slips and breaks his arm, forcing him to briefly stop and treat the injury. They soon run into David. David immediately questions Jack about Mike's whereabouts, causing Jack to drop all pretense. Jack draws his knife, attempting to fight David, but David quickly kills him. David stares at Jack's body, showing no satisfaction, only contemplation over killing his own son. When David finally snaps out of his daze, Nicole is gone. She races back to the carriage and gently calls for her father Yoshimura, only to realize he is dead. Overwhelmed by despair, she nonetheless pulls the arrow from his abdomen. She then rushes to the secret cave, but the gold is gone. She assumes David took it, but the returning boy informs her that David didn't find the gold in the cave. Nicole's hope returns, realizing her father must have moved it. Remembering Yoshimura threw his knife onto the carriage, she looks up and discovers the 2 cloth bags of gold hidden high up in a tree. After retrieving the gold, she rushes to wake the boy, only to find he has stopped breathing. Nicole, who never even knew his name, is overcome by guilt and grief. She buries the boy and her father then climbs the carriage to retrieve her knife. At this moment, a goddess of vengeance is born. Nicole decides to avenge those who died. She prepares her weapons, wrapping puppet threads around the bow and sharpening her arrows. In a gesture of challenge, she throws a handful of gold coins on the ground before dragging the remaining gold to a lake, taking a boat and sinking it in the black water. David and his men find Mike's body, then head to the gold's presumed location, finding the scattered gold coins a clear provocation. In a furious rage, David sets the carriage on fire and vows to kill Nicole. The group searches until dawn and then splits up. This is the moment Nicole has been waiting for. She tracks down a bald gangster who is carrying Yoshimura's samurai sword. Nicole confronts him, nimbly dodges his attacks and kills him with a dagger and a final slash to the throat, retrieving her father's sword. She kills the archer gangster by shooting an arrow into his face. 2 more gangsters arrive, one with a firearm. Nicole is wounded by a black gangster's sword, but she wisely stops running when the gunman is forced to reload. As the black gangster closes in, Nicole quickly chops off the gunman's arm and kills him with a single slash. She then appears like a ghost in the camp, where the last remaining subordinate gangster is paralyzed with fear. Nicole raises her sword but hesitates, realizing this man had not personally killed anyone. She puts the sword away and leaves. Only David remains alive, but when Nicole finds him, he is already dying from his abdominal wound. Nicole sits down to hear his final words. David confesses that he was a failure as a father, having killed his own son, and acknowledges that Yoshimura was a good father who sacrificed himself for his daughter. David dies silently. Nicole kneels before the graves of her father and the boy, gently placing Yoshimura's samurai sword down. On her way out, she encounters the performance troupe. Mary invites her to join them and share some food. Mary mentions that Nicole's name is the same as the warrior character in the puppet show, hinting at her father's hopes for her. Nicole spots the gangster she spared in the troupe's company. As the troupe leader recites a line from the puppet show, "Lift the curtain. I am Nicole. I am a warrior. I am here to avenge you." Nicole seems to finally understand. She walks away, deciding to start a new life, the movie ending as she walks toward the setting sun. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.